872-93776. A reminder that Mike Golick and Trey Wingo will be live from South Bend this Friday, covering the USC Notre Dame matchup, part of ESPN Radio's Fall Football Tour. Brought to you by Marathon. Get 5 cents off every gallon, every day, with Make It Count rewards from Marathon. To sign up, visit MakeItCount.com or download the free app. Also, download the Vivid Seats app and enter promo code ESPN25 at checkout to get 10% off your next order. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid Seat. On the line right now, as always, it's a pleasure to have my buddy, NFL analyst extraordinaire for ESPN. You can catch him on NFL Live. You can catch him on First Take a few times a week. You can also catch him on SportsCenter, particularly on Sunday nights after the games, as well as Get Up and Beyond. I'm talking about the one and only Ryan Clark. He's live right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. What's going on, Big Tom? How are you?
Man, why they do you like that today, bro?
With the whole sling with Jonathan Abrams.
Yeah, man, why they
Listen, when you see him in the sling, what you saw was a real athlete, and what you saw with me was a wannabe that had no business trying such thing. and I deserve, because I'll be damned if I wouldn't have called somebody else out if it was them. So I can take it when it's me, Ryan. I can take it.
I like that, man. I like that.
I can take it, man. Yo, man, let's get right to it, man. First things first. We just learned Saquon Barkley's going to be out, but also Ingram's going to be out for Thursday Night Football matchup between the Giants and the New England Patriots. As if the Giants and Daniel Jones needed anything to happen. Now it's this. What are we to make of this, considering this is the latest injury to the New York Giants?
Is this a game you even want to watch, Stephen A?
That's right. Yeah.
Your two main targets are gone. Also, Gallman has a concussion. I mean, who is Daniel Jones going to throw the ball to? Sterling Shepard, obviously, in concussion protocol. But when you look at what Ingram was able to give Daniel Jones during his short time of starting, you think back to that Tampa Bay game, and they were explosive together. He lost Saquon Barkley in the first quarter of that game. So you really haven't gotten the opportunity to see Daniel Jones with the New York Giants at full strength. And now you put him up against the New England Patriots. We talked today earlier on Get Up about the schedule that the Patriots have played, and now you just add a depleted Giants team that, if we're being honest, wasn't all that good to begin with before people started to get injured. And so this is something that you expect the Patriots to roll again. Bill Belichick is always amazing against rookie quarterbacks, and I expect more of the same on Thursday night.
You know, it's interesting. We're bringing up the Patriots, and we were just talking and lamenting their state of affairs as it pertains to Tom Brady, because the defense is elite. There is no arguing that right now, particularly after what happened to Chicago in London against the Raiders, as Jonathan Abrams made the point to point out to me on First Take this morning. I don't think one can argue that right now the Patriots deserve to be crowned as the best defense in football. With that being said, Gronkowski's retired, Antonio Brown is gone, Julian Edelman has been playing hurt, and Tom Brady is 42 years of age, clearly having lost a step. When you look at the Patriots offense as we speak, Ryan Clark, what do you see? What are you concerned about? What do you dismiss?
Really, you see offense that's above average only because Tom Brady understands what they need to do so much. Julian Edelman has been injured. He's dropped passes. Josh Gordon hasn't looked as explosive as we've become accustomed to seeing him. And also, this running game hasn't been what you think of it. Sony Michel, you expect him to take that next step in his second year. We haven't quite seen that. He got rolling a little bit in the second half against Washington. And so I'm worried about this team from an offensive standpoint. Can they get into the playoffs, and if there is another game like the AFC Championship, find ways to get the ball to people the same way they did Gronkowski that day, the way they were able to get Edelman against KC. You go back to the Super Bowl, if it wasn't for the defense holding the Los Angeles Rams without a touchdown, they don't win. So there are definitely chinks in the armor of the offense, but when Tom Brady has shown you time and time again that he can show up in the bigger moments of each season, you have to give him the benefit of that doubt. And when your defense hasn't given up a passing touchdown through 5 games, you feel like you'll be in every game, and you know Tom Brady has a chance to win it late. He's the type of guy that can come up with the plays.
Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. You know, I'm just looking things right now because I hadn't had a chance to speak to you about this. But your thoughts when you learned that Jay Gruden was fired as coach of the Washington Redskins?
I felt like that was something we expected going into this weekend. I do believe because he was so insistent that Colt McCoy was his guy, that they wanted to see what this team looked like with Colt McCoy, because nothing really changed from 0-4 to 0-5, but that. And so Colt McCoy gets back, and this offense is still way below average. He throws an interception at a very critical point in the second quarter when this team has an opportunity to go into halftime down 9-7 or up if they can mount a drive. And it just really showed that Jay Gruden has no grasp on what this team needs to be better. And then you even hear reports that the reason that Dwayne Haskins wasn't prepared to play against the Giants is because he's been taking scout team reps. So he wasn't even working or prepping his first-round draft pick to be prepared to play. And it meant that it was time for a change. And maybe 5 games too late, you probably wanted to have this done before you brought in your rookie quarterback so you could have someone believe in him, someone groom him. But now they've made the switch to Coach Callahan. Listening to him in his press conference once he was being introduced, he seems like he wants to bring discipline. He wants to bring a heightened sense of urgency, and that's exactly what this team and organization needs.
You know, we listen to Jerry Jones staying within the NFC East. We listen to Jerry Jones make some noise. He was talking, and he said the last 2 games and what you've seen from Dak Prescott, that's not going to influence negotiations one way or another. You know, what we decide to do with Dak Prescott and why, it's going to be based on his long-term production as a participant on the Dallas Cowboys. It's not going to be over these 2 games. What do you make of that? What did those words from Jerry Jones means to you? And what do you see the outcome of all of this being with Dak Prescott and his negotiations with the Cowboys?
I think Dak gets his deal. I never think the money is going to reach what Dak wants it to be. I think Dak wants to be the highest paid quarterback above and beyond what we normally see as these things and these contracts move up in increments. But I think Dak Prescott will get his money. And also it's smart for Jerry Jones to say this, Stephen A., because now he can say also when Dak Prescott plays extremely well, that won't change his contract either. From all the reports, they have offered him a very good deal. They've offered him a deal that would make him the highest paid. Maybe some of the structure and the guaranteed money isn't where Dak Prescott wants it to be, but I think they'll work to get there. And on the other side of that, you have to have a little relief if you're Dak Prescott, because you know that every week you're not auditioning to get a certain amount of money, that Jerry Jones thinks that your body of work as a whole is what he's going to pay you off of. And I expect him to be the highest paid quarterback in the league, not by much, but he'll get a little more than Jared Goff, which is more than enough money. And then Patrick Mahomes will come behind him and shatter it all.
Ryan Clark, let me put you on the spot for a second. You have your pick of the litter. You get to determine the pay scale, the pecking order for quarterbacks in the National Football League. Who are your top 5 paid quarterbacks in the National Football League right now? And give them to me in order 1 through 5. Go from 5 to 1 if you want.
5 to 1? Oh, okay. 5 to 1 might be a little difficult. Okay. It would be Tom Brady. Tom Brady would be 5. Deshaun Watson would be 4. Aaron Rodgers would be 3. Russell Wilson would be 2. Patrick Mahomes would be 1.
Okay.
Tom Brady ends up at 5, obviously because of age. But if we were just talking about this year, he would be 5th. I think Deshaun Watson is going to be – I believe we're talking about Deshaun Watson as the future of football if he wasn't a part of the same draft as Patrick Mahomes. I think Deshaun Watson has been amazing. 5 touchdowns this weekend, perfect passer rating, just really coming back off a performance that wasn't his normal performance. Obviously, me and you love Aaron Rodgers. We know what a bad man he is. Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson, to me, has to be 1 or 2 in every MVP conversation. And then Patrick Mahomes, the reigning MVP, a guy that is just doing things each and every week that we've never seen before. He has become the gold standard of talent at the quarterback position, very much so the way that Aaron Rodgers took it over for years in this league.
Work with me on this argument just for us to have fun here, Ryan Clark. We're talking to Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. I look at Deshaun Watson, who's completing 69% of his passes, has thrown for 11 touchdowns, just one interception on the entire season, okay? This is Deshaun Watson that we're talking about. He's been sacked 18 times, mind you, all right? He's got a QBR of 76 and a 115 quarterback rating. And not only that, he's being coached by Bill O'Brien instead of Andy Reid. So here's my question. Is it that easy, or should it be that easy to rate Patrick Mahomes above Deshaun Watson, considering what he has to work with compared to what Deshaun Watson has to work with? I know Fuller can ball, don't get me wrong, but when you look at Mahomes, you got Andy Reid coaching you. You got Travis Kelce, the best tight end in football. You've had Tyreek Hill. Sammy Watkins is not a bad brother. Back in the past, you had Kareem Hunt, not just Damian Williams. Now you got Shady McCoy in Kansas City. You look at Deshaun Watson, he's playing with less. What do you make of that?
He absolutely is. And, the argument can't just be about this year. You also have to go back to last year where Patrick Mahomes threw 50 touchdowns and only 12 interceptions. I believe Deshaun Watson was somewhere around 26-9. And Deshaun brought this team on a 9-game winning streak last year after losing the first 3, and it was all on his shoulders. And so it's not that easy. It's not necessarily like it's not a conversation. But when we look at what Patrick Mahomes has done and is doing, it's historic. It is above and beyond the way we've ever seen anyone start their career other than maybe Dan Marino. And remember how he revolutionized passing in the game. I think Patrick Mahomes is doing that, and it's even different because the times have changed. And so I believe that the Mahomes-Watson game that we'll see this weekend now becomes our new Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. I believe that's going to be this generation's quarterback matchup that we can look to each and every year in the playoffs as these older guys usher out as the 2 best in the game, playing on 2 of the best teams in the game because they're on them.
I hate to break this to you, Ryan Clark, but, you did not mention the $137.5 million man, $72 million in guaranteed dollars, coaching quarterbacking the 4-0 San Francisco 49ers. That would be Jimmy Garoppolo. He was not in your top 5, Ryan Clark. What would you say to people who say, hey, what about the undefeated Jimmy G?
He wouldn't be in my top 10. And
explain why.
But if I could prepare for this, he might not be in my top 15. If you watch throughout this season, Jimmy G has been off. He hasn't pushed the ball down the field. Now, he's been lucky because he plays on the team with an incredible pass rush and amazing rush game, and he hasn't been asked to do these things. But I am looking forward to seeing him against the Rams and the Seahawks, and then later on in the season, the Ravens and the Falcons and different teams to see, okay, who are you really, Jimmy G? Are you the guy that we saw for the first 3 games of his career in New England that was making the plays that helped the team win? Or are you the guy right now that's being carried? Can they win a Super Bowl like the Baltimore Ravens did in 2000 with Trent Dilfer? Because to me, that is what this team is shaping up to be. Jimmy G will make sure you don't mess it up. Kyle Shanahan will diagram plays to get you outside of the pocket where you have easy reads, where you have easy opportunities. But can you carry a team? If Matt Breida can't get off, if we can't get Tevin Coleman off, if the defense gives up some plays, can you bring us back? And right now, I believe that's a question, which is why he's not even in consideration for me in the top 10.
Well, that was a trick question on my part. I had to mention porn star Jimmy. You know me. After all, that's exactly why I wanted to do it. The San Francisco 49ers have the number 1 rushing attack in football with Breida, Mostert, and Coleman all averaging over 5 yards a carry. You're talking to Ryan Clark right here and listening to Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Switching back to the AFC, we assumed that New England and Kansas City were the creme de la creme and everybody was second-tier status or lower. We watched the Indianapolis Colts, led by Jacoby Brissett, ultimately beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City with the Colts defense holding Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes to 13 points. What are we to make of the Colts after that performance right now?
I think the Colts are built to win, to be honest with you, Stephen A. And they built the Colts to win around Andrew Luck, right? Protection was always a deal with them. So you go out, you get Quentin Nelson, you draft Smith, you get Costanzo, you get these people that can make sure you protect the franchise. And what it also did was add a running game. And you were able to get Marlon Mack in the same draft that Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook and Leonard Fournette. And now he's become a franchise running back, a guy that goes for over 130 to help you win the game on Sunday night. And so I believe that this team is competitive. I believe that this team has a chance to win the AFC South. And they have football that travels. Now, they're a little hampered on defense right now by injury, but they were still able to stop a beat-up Kansas City team. Going forward, I want to see what the passing game materializes into. I believe Jacoby Brissett is capable, but is he just a good starter, or is he a starter that can win you some games? And that's what we have to learn as the season progresses, because when you're in the playoffs and it's the Deshaun Watsons and it's the Patrick Mahomes and it's the Tom Brady's, you're going to have a quarterback that can go toe-to-toe with those guys and come out on top.
If you're Andrew Luck, are you regretting right now that you're retired based on the potential this team has shown?
You know, I can't say that he's regretting it if he retired for the reasons he did. If he couldn't handle it mentally anymore, if emotionally he was broke down because of the physical strain and stress of trying to be ready to play this game, and I don't think you are. But if you just felt like you needed a break, or if you just didn't want to put the work in, and you're watching this team now, you have to be sitting at home saying, man, this could have been my year.
Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Before I let you get on out of here, we spoke earlier this morning about Baker Mayfield, and particularly in light of learning that Richard Sherman told the fib when he said that Baker Mayfield did not shake his hand, apparently failing to recognize that it would be caught on video, that simply was not true. Nevertheless, I still thought it highlighted the zest to be negative about Baker Mayfield, which tells me you have a lot of people who don't like him. They think he's been feeling himself. They think he's been crowned a bit too prematurely. And I think that was the motivation behind Richard Sherman, a guy that we both love and respect, telling a fib there. What did you make of all of that, and how do you think both guys look in light of this latest, brouhaha, whatever it is you want to call it?
Yeah, I think Rich has done enough to where we've already formed an opinion about him, and the people who like him. Those who don't, they never will. It was a lie, Stephen A. And you put it nicely by saying it was a fib, but Richard Sherman flat out lied, and maybe he misremembered it. Maybe he was just more so focused on the post coin toss handshake, but he was wrong. And he painted a picture of Baker Mayfield that was untrue. And Baker Mayfield does enough to make you feel the things you do about him, which is what it seemed like Rich really wanted to say, that little slight confirmed everything he already felt about him. And he thought that he didn't do anything. He wasn't the MVP. He doesn't have respect for this game. He's not earning his stripes. I believe all of those things were true to Richard and still are true, but what he said about the man to bring it up was not. And it also says a lot about Baker Mayfield, that people immediately believe what Richard Sherman said. And the media jumped on him and other players jumped on him. And it was this huge thing that Baker Mayfield didn't even do. Now, a lot of that has been brought on by his attitude, his bravado, the way he interacts with the media, the way he interacts with other players, other coaches. And I think he's comfortable with that. But if you're going to act like that, you got to ball. Right? We aren't necessarily inspired by Aaron Rodgers' personality or his attitude, but we all respect the game that the man plays. Baker's biggest problem is not producing on the field. And when you're not doing that, it doesn't matter how you behave.
Ryan, I got to say this, man. I think you'll agree with me. I think that's the only issue Baker Mayfield has. I think if Baker Mayfield is somewhere listening to both of us right now, I think it's important for us to tell him, listen, I don't see anything wrong with him as a person. I respect his candor. I respect the fact that he speaks his mind. I respect the fact that he's got that bunker mentality. You're either for us or against us. You just got to ball. You got to be a ball player. You can't go out there and stick up the joint and throw more interceptions than the amount of games you started. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, you are absolutely right. I mean, I think people would find it endearing. Like, people would like it if he was a baller. Be like, this guy is all about his team. The same way people liked it at Oklahoma. To be honest with you, Stephen A., that was what people loved about him, that he seemed like one of the guys, that he was just one of the players, that the team rally to that and not be able to play well because you're going to be attacked. People are going to come at you each and every week on game day. And so right now for Baker Mayfield, you're 100% correct. The one thing he has to fix is not his personality, not his attitude, it's his play.
Ryan, I watched Monday night, and you know what I saw that scared me about Baker Mayfield? If you remember, I used to bring up the fact that he was relatively short to be playing the position. But I gave credit where credit was due because of his ability to find the gaps and the seams with which to throw the football through so, it wouldn't impede his vision. He could do what he did. I watched the San Francisco squad do something that I'm starting to think most teams can do against Baker Mayfield. And that is encase him, basically contain him within the pocket. And I'm noticing he doesn't necessarily have the sidestep or the evasive ability to get away from these guys. We can't get caught up in what we saw against Baltimore because Baltimore just didn't show up defensively. And it wasn't Baker's arms that was killing them. It was a lot of things that was killing the Baltimore Ravens. But I'm seeing a guy that I'm fearful that the NFL feels like they may have figured him out and things are going to get worse before they get better for him. What about you?
I mean, yeah, my problem is this, Stephen A. The first time we saw Baker Mayfield in live regular season action is the best we've ever seen him. And that was that night on Thursday against the Jets when he replaced Tyrod Taylor. To me, he's been trending downhill since then. And if you watch that game Monday, 8 for 22, 100 yards, passes batted, missing passes, escaping the pocket when he still had opportunities to throw. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. threw the first pass, for crying out loud. Yeah. This isn't number one overall pick play. This isn't future MVP play. This isn't franchise quarterback play. And I think you're right. There seems like there's starting to be a bit of a template out on Baker Mayfield. In the same way we're on guys like, Dak and Russell Wilson when they were young, that they need help. It's seeming that Baker is more a complementary piece than the piece and is really hurting the Cleveland Browns right now.
Man, go get your rest, man. Appreciate the work that you're doing. Oh, by the way, you do know I will be watching LSU this weekend. You know that, right? I'm going to be watching.
We got this win. Don't worry about us.
Okay. All right. When do y'all have Georgia?
We don't have Georgia this year. They're off. Okay. So we got Florida, Mississippi State, Auburn, and Alabama.
That's what I'm talking about. I knew Alabama, but I thought you had Georgia. I thought you had Georgia. I thought I heard Paul Feinbaum mention Georgia this week, but I could be mistaken because he was comparing Georgia to LSU as opposed to them playing against one another. No big deal. You're lucky you got off easy, but you still ain't beating Alabama. You do know that, right? You do know that, right?
We got to take care of Florida first, but when Alabama comes, you best believe that Wednesday I will have an LSU jersey on first take.
You know what? I bet you won't have it on if they lose to Florida beforehand.
That is very
You'll lose
true.
all faith in them. There we go. Take it easy, bro. Thanks a lot, man. Take it easy. All right, my man Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's the number to call up. That's 888-729-3777.